This is the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show. It's presented to you by the Hillsboro Economic Development Corporation. I'm Chase Miller. This week on the program, we'll dive into girls hockey with Ryan Kraft as they have a couple weeks left before postseason hockey gets underway on the Minnesota side. Also, Justin Lehmann from Kindred Wrestling. The Vikings took third in the Southeast Regional Duel on the boys' side. The boys and girls are off to Carrington this weekend for individual competition. From there, Rob Owens of Hillsboro-Central Valley Wrestling will be joining the conversation as well from the Burrows perspective as they head off to individuals in Carrington as well this weekend. Then it's all basketball after that. Tonah Safranski of the Fargo Davies Eagles, they're 12-12 on the season. We'll hear from Coach Safranski. Our senior spotlights with Willow Thiel from Perham girls basketball as our own Kevin Kochman had an opportunity to speak with Willow earlier in the week. And we'll wrap up the show with Kelly Viken of Fosston girls basketball as the Greyhounds are having a really good basketball season. But first, let's dive into our conversation. We'll hear from Justin Lehmann in a moment. But first, here's our one-on-one with Ryan Kraft of Moorhead girls hockey with our own Joe Lancello.
Welcome back on the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show, brought to you by the Hillsboro Economic Development Corporation. I'm Joe Lancello, speaking to Ryan Kraft, the coach of the girls hockey team at Moorhead. The Spuds doing pretty well this year, 22-2-1 on the season, and we are recording this before their opening round playoff game as they're taking on Buffalo on Tuesday night. Seems early to talk about playoffs, but I understand that, well, that's the way it goes.
Yeah, coaches and I just got done talking about it yesterday. We can't believe playoffs are here already. This season has gone unexpectedly fast. Probably because it's been so warm out, but you know, we're here, we're ready to go. And I know the girls are chomping at the bit to get it started.
And a very successful season for you with the tie against Andover and losses only to Minnetonka and Benilde.
Well, I mean, we had, Minnetonka was at Christmas time, but those other two games, that was I think our second weekend of the season. We opened up with Wyzetta in a pretty strong opening game. And then we went down and had a really good game against Andover for it being that early in the season. Girls competed hard and came out with a 1-1 tie. And then I don't know if it was emotional letdown the very next day, but we didn't play very well against Benilde. And I'm not taking anything away from Benilde because I thought Benilde was a very strong team and they did everything they needed to do to kick our butts that day. So, we're taking those as learning experiences. And I think the girls have done an outstanding job since that Benilde game in dealing with adversity and rising to the challenge and just doing their part as hockey players to be at their best.
The 8 goals conceded in that game really stand out, far and away the most you've given up in a game.
Another thing we talked about between the second and third period against Gentry, the last time we gave up 3 goals, because we gave up 3 goals in the first 2 periods to Gentry. The last time we gave up 3 goals was a home game against Maple Grove. And then prior to that, it was the Benilde game. So only 3 times this year have we given up more than 2 goals in a game. And, I credit that to our strong defensemen, our strong defensive concepts as a team, and obviously our goaltender.
And you not only have strong defense, but you've also got 2 50-goal scorers already. And Ayla, is it Puppy? I probably should have asked before. How do I say that?
Well, Ayla is a Northfield girl.
Oh, whoops. Okay. Well, tell me about your team and the folks you have there.
Well, we have a very strong leadership group led by our 3 captains, Kate Kazabud, Ella Holm, and Taylor Brewski. Kate is going to Minnesota next year. Taylor is going to Quinnipiac, and Ella is in talks with a few schools. Mm-hmm. So we feel like we've got the program to a point where we have really, really good leadership. And then when you add a girl like Olivia Corton to the mix, who's got over 50 points already, we have a very strong leadership group. And then Taylor Crescent has obviously been the backbone in the net for us. So we feel like we're in a really good spot to make a significant run. And, the girls have a state championship in their sights, and that's their goal.
And you are the top seed in Section 8 AA. And Alexandria or Bemidji would be next, and then possibly Roseau or Brainerd in a final. But we do want to take things one at a time. But could you tell me about those other teams and what they do well?
Well, they all present unique challenges. Buffalo tonight is going to come in and work extremely hard. They have a very, very good goalie. We're going to have to solve that issue. And if we're fortunate enough to get by tonight, then we will play a strong Bemidji team who I think they're 15-9 or 16-9 at this point in the year. A very, very solid schedule, or very solid record, I should say. They have a unique team this year. Bemidji does, in the fact that they're backboned by a senior goalie, but most of their players are freshmen and sophomores. Bailey Rupp Bailey Roop, I think is how you pronounce it. She's an excellent player. She's got a lot of skill. She creates a lot of adversity for us from a defensive perspective, because she's offensively dynamic and can put points on the board. So we're going to have our hands full if that's who we play. Alexandria plays a very strong team game. They're very, they're very team oriented in everything that they do, and that in itself presents its own challenges. So, and then if we were fortunate enough to get by that game, you'd probably have a Roseau or a Brainerd in the final, and both of those teams have created unique challenges. Brainerd plays a very, very solid defensive scheme where it's hard to get to the middle of the ice on them. And in order to do so, we'd have to come up with something creative offensively to try to score more goals and create more offensive opportunities. And then you have Roseau, and they have 4 extremely good offensive hockey players in Peyton Remick, Summer Bufflin, Lily Erickson, and Jasmine Hubda. So we're definitely not looking past tonight, but it is exciting to think about the possibility of playing in another state tournament.
How often have you been to state in the last few years?
Last year was Moorhead's first trip in 2017. So,
oh wow,
this is all kind of new to us. We do have the experience factor in play, in that most of the other girls on those other teams haven't been to a state tournament, other than maybe some of the freshmen on Alex's team or some of the freshmen and sophomores on Brainerd's team. So we have a unique opportunity here to repeat as Section 8 AA champions, and that's got to be goal number 1 before we move forward.
What's the support been like around the school toward the girls hockey team?
It's been amazing. The youth program, the girls at the lower levels have, you see them in the stands at games. You get text messages and emails from people wishing you the best of luck. There's social media galore out there right now around the girls program, and everybody seems to be really excited about all the possibilities.
And something that may be a topic of conversation, I'm wondering if it is something new that's popped up this year, is women's professional hockey, with Minnesota having a team. Is that something the girls have talked about? It may still be pie in the sky yet for some of them, but you mentioned girls going to college. Are their girls paying attention to that or considering it?
Definitely. I've heard the girls talking about it in the locker room before. We as coaches are talking about it in the coaches' room and talking about certain games that we may have watched the night before, or even giving them the heads up that, hey, the Minnesota professional team is going to be on TV tonight. You guys, might want to watch and try to learn a few things. But the girls' game has grown so much, even in the last 5 years since I started coaching. There's some really good hockey players out there, and it's just becoming a very physical game. It's becoming a very offensive, dynamic game. These girls have talent and they can play, and it's extremely exciting to be a part of.
And just a reminder, girls hockey is still no checking?
Technically, yeah, technically, but it's a physical game. You get to the high school level, you get to the college level, and certainly you get to the PWHL, and these girls bump, and when they bump hard. They're competitive kids. They want to win just as bad as the boys do, and That is definitely shown through how they play, the physical nature of the game.
Contact happens.
It does. Rubbing is racing, I guess.
Okay, Ryan Kraft, coach of the Moorhead girls hockey team. The 8AA playoffs underway. A game Tuesday night against Buffalo and Alexandria or Bemidji. Hopefully, the next game be Saturday?
Next game will be Saturday in Moorhead, should we win tonight. Yes.
All right. Well, Ryan, best of luck. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks for having me on.
And we'll continue with the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show right after this.
Live, work, and play here in Hillsboro, North Dakota. The Hillsboro Economic Development Committee can assist you with information and support for business and housing. Experience Hillsboro. More at 104.
Joining us now from the Kindred wrestling team, he is the head coach, Justin Lehmann, here as they got a very busy weekend upcoming in Carrington before they get some wrestlers heading to the state wrestling tournament from the Fargo Dome next Thursday through Saturday. Justin, first and foremost, thanks so much for the time. Number two, let's start on the boys' side here as they've already had a little bit of their postseason flavor. You had a very competitive region this year in the Southeast, or what was the old kind of Region 1. Just take us through that third place finish in Lisbon as it literally came right down to the wire to find out if you're going to play, or I should say wrestle in that challenge match or not here, Justin.
Yeah, it was a fun atmosphere. They had the first and third place duels going on at the same time. We had a lot of parents talk about it, but even trying to coach with both duels were so back and forth. There was so much noise going on. You couldn't hardly coach. Kids couldn't hear anything, and it was awesome. Our duel with Oaks we knew it was going to be tight. The first time we wrestled, they were missing a couple guys. And then this time we were missing one still. So everything it went down to the last match and into overtime. Brock Johnson was able to get that takedown in overtime to win it. And then, our kids, we sat and waited hoping, and South Border was kind of up most of that duel. And then that one came down to a last second takedown by the Lisbon kid. So our kids were pretty bummed not to get that challenge match, but kind of our goal at the beginning of the year, knowing Lisbon South Border is in our region, was be top 3 and give ourselves a chance. And we felt pretty good with what we did on Saturday.
Take us through now as you kind of transition more towards the individual side for both girls and boys this weekend in Carrington. Girls are on Friday, boys on Saturday. What kind of changes from a mentality from a dual to a individual meet when you get to this time of the year here, Justin?
I think just for the kids to know that they need to focus on themselves. I mean, we've still talked about, we want to place high as a team. Like, that's definitely in the back of our minds. But what it really comes down to now is we're in the individual part of it. Just each kid focusing on themselves, making sure they're ready. And I think that's just the big switch. Kids aren't worried about getting bumped. They're not worried about anything else, just what's in front of them. So
let's start on the girls' side here. Taryn Raisler, what has she just provided at Kindred Wrestling? And overall, how is girls wrestling in Kindred specifically here, just in part 2 of the question? How has that grown, and how does having someone like, Taryn there, how does that kind of help get that program continuing to grow here over the next, year or two?
Yeah, we've had a few girls off and on throughout the years, even before girls wrestling really got going. And last year, Taryn was thinking back, I think she was our only girl wrestling. I know at the end of the year she was, and she's found a lot of success. She's a region runner-up last year. And then she was hurt for most of the year this year, but just came back and kind of put herself in a really good spot, region and state-wise. And I think just that success, we have 4 girls in there now. And just people seeing that success of our girls, I think, is what really helps, and making it known that it's a sport now. They're not stuck with the boys all the time.
And as we kind of go from there, when you have, are you hearing stories? Because I heard like a year or two ago, someone was maybe a statistician that's all of a sudden now wrestling for a particular team, or someone came out to a duel or came out to a meet and said, hey, maybe I can give this a shot. Are you getting those stories in Kindred about girls wrestling, for some girls asking you questions or asking some of the wrestlers, hey, how can I be a part of it? Or what does it take, to become a girls wrestler here, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, I don't get a ton of it. I teach in elementary school, so I don't see the high school kids as much. but I know our girls have. We have one girl, sister of two boy wrestlers, and she decided she wanted to just come out to practice. She said, I don't want to compete at all. And we got her in an exhibition match, and now full bore once she got a little taste of it. So, there is some talk of, we've heard some other girls being interested, and hopefully we can get a few more girls kind of working through some of that as we go forward. So.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to see the growth of that sport here, kind of similar, as we've said, to like softball, so to speak, about 5-10 years ago, once it became sanctioned. To the boys' side now, here for you here, Justin, Brock Johnson, just kind of what has he provided to this year's Lisbon boys wrestling team? Kindred's girls wrestling, boys wrestling team.
Yeah, Brock's just kind of been our rock this year. Every tournament, he's wrestled solid. He hasn't really had those bad matches. He's out. I think he's been in a championship of every tournament this year. And he's only lost 4 matches, and 3 of them are to Cash Waitson from Lisbon, who's ranked first, and the other one's to South Dakota kid. So he's, everywhere we go, he's just taking the task at hand, and he's just been pretty dominant as he's gotten forward. So.
What have you seen about the wrestling program here the last couple of years, Justin, that you hope to have some success, obviously, in Carrington and get some wrestlers, to that state tournament next week in Fargo?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is the kids are really tight. They're really close, and they've really taken to making each other better. We preach like we can be good individually, but it's really hard to be really good by yourself. And we feel like we have a really close team, and they want everyone to be very successful. And I think that's just pushed each other. We've had a lot of kids make big gains this year, and I think that's a lot of it, is just them pushing each other.
As you get into this time of the year, what makes February wrestling in North Dakota, from your perspective with Kindred here, Justin, compared to any other time in early November? Once you kind of, so to speak, get on the mat, once you kind of get to Thanksgiving, you get your first dual or quad kind of in, then it's really, Katie bar the door in December and January for meets and different duels that you have. But what makes February so much fun and so different compared to any time of the year?
I think just the intensity of it, everything matters now. And there's not really many easy matches. Everything's tight. Like, even matches that weren't necessarily tight earlier on, they become tight. Everyone's trying to be at their peak. And I think it brings out the best in everyone, knowing that what they're wrestling for at this point in the year, trying to get to the top of that podium. So.
What would you say to someone who's never either one been a fan at like Fargo Dome for state wrestling, or one to a wrestler who's never been there before? What are some words of advice that you would give to a particular wrestler who qualifies for state, first time there? What makes that tournament so unique compared to anything else throughout the rest of the season?
Well, like, one thing we try to do is, as soon as weigh-ins are done, they let us on the floor, is get the kids out and looking around, because we've had kids that, they get that first match, and all of a sudden it's middle of first period, and they kind of look up in the stands and everyone's on top of you. Everything's condensed in there. And it can make kids really nervous. We really focus on, we do a lot of mental stuff throughout the year, and kind of focusing on that side of it to try to prepare them. And I think it's just, trying to stay loose, have fun, and enjoy the moment. There's bigger things really than what that match is happening. So just enjoy it, and usually that seems to help.
From a coach's perspective here, Justin, what's one particular wrestling, whether it's a Store Hog, a Letterman's that are on the eastern side of the state, obviously East, West, and New Salem, what's something from a girls or boys particular duel, or even just a tournament, I guess you could kind of say, throughout the year? What's one that you enjoy kind of most going to from a coach's perspective, outside of obviously the states and some of the postseason duels and individuals here, Justin?
Definitely the East-West. You kind of, you get to see where you're at by the end of the year. Kids are kind of starting, those last few kids are moving around weights, kind of see where you're at if you need to have kids moving weights. Basically like a state tournament. And we just started going there in recent years, and we really like it. It really, we feel it prepares us for what's about to come in the next few weeks.
Final thing for you, Justin. When someone comes out for Kindred boys or Kindred girls wrestling, what do you hope they kind of take from their time, obviously on the map, but what do you hope they take from, so to speak, that program moving forward outside of wrestling, whether it's in the school and Kindred or once they kind of graduate and get on to the next, chapters of life?
Yeah, we kind of have a few statements that we really push to our kids, and we call them our I will statements. And, it's just about being better people, being better citizens in the long run. And we really preach that no matter how successful or not we're being, just how important, like wrestling and any sport for that matter, it's not that big in the grand scheme of things. And it's taking the little lessons that you learn throughout it to become a good citizen as you get older.
Justin, thanks so much for your time, and best of luck moving forward in Carrington this weekend, and hope to see some more Kindred wrestlers on the mat in Fargo coming up a week and a half from now.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Hey growers, when working on your water management solutions, call Chad's Excavating out of Mayville. They are your water management contractor, helping you with tile drainage plans, service drainage plans, or both. Remember, water management is a lifetime investment. Call Chad 701-430-0182 to get your water problem solved. For more information, follow Chad's Excavating on Facebook. For tile drainage and service plans, call 701-430-0182. Chad's Excavating out of Mayville, helping farmers grow.
Do you want that new boat? Are you building onto your home? Maybe you want the new camper or ATV. Dakota Heritage Bank can help you. This is Dustin Nagel, President at Dakota Heritage Bank Hillsboro location. You can visit with me or our other loan officers to help with loans and lines of credit from Dakota Heritage Bank. We are serving you with locations in North Dakota and Northwest Minnesota. Dakota Heritage Bank offers financial services you expect with a local perspective. dhbanknd.com. Dakota Heritage Bank, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
There's more at 104. Hillsboro, North Dakota has everything you need on your next road trip. Food, fuel, fun, and family-friendly activities. Stop by and fill up your tank or grab a bite to eat. Have a blast at Goose River Golf Club, the swimming pool, or one of our beautiful parks. There's even ice skating and cross-country skiing. Take in the sights or stay the night so you don't miss a thing. Experience Hillsboro and see why there's more at 104.
As we continue on the Coaches Show, we head back to the mat here with Rob Owens of Hillsboro-Central Valley. Then we'll hear from Michael Mathison of Sacred Heart Girls Hoops.
Here on the Coaches Show here this evening, chatting with Rob Owens, the head coach of the Hillsboro-Central Valley wrestling teams. And Rob, a tough way to finish your dual campaign at the regional dual competition in Larimore last weekend. Came in seeded number 3, made it to the semifinals, tough bout against Carrington, and then didn't quite have enough gas in the tank in the consolation semis. Your thoughts on this last weekend?
I thought we wrestled just fine against Kraft, and that's who we had the first match, and we got to see some young kids get some win. We had Jackson Kleckner got his varsity win, and Easton Beach got a varsity win, both which are 7th graders, which is always a plus. And then we went into Carrington, and really we had a game plan, and our game plan was to win the flip, and of course we didn't win the flip, which causes an issue with how we're going to line up against them. We had Braden Chenault out of our lineup at 189 pounds. We had some other kids that weren't feeling all that hot. So it was a big feat, but I still felt like we had a chance, but it just didn't go our way. And, Carrington's got a tough group of kids. They always seem to put good kids together at the end and get them in the right spots. And we just couldn't get them there to compete with them. And then we came back on the other side, and Mayville came out fired. They were happy. They had won a match. We were on the downside. So that always comes into play. And being short-staffed a little bit again hurt us. We ended up losing our match. We had beat Mayville twice in the season. Mayville wrestled really well. We gave up, some matches that we shouldn't have given up. And, it's just the way it rolls. The kids that, it's funny, we still have kids right now that are still sick. And I haven't seen them since Saturday. So they got sick after that tournament as well. So it's knock on wood to make sure that all our kids still are staying healthy. We've got 10 going to regionals this weekend for the boys and 4 on the girls' side. So really it's all about making sure we just get there.
And I know you never want to bring up, if excuse is the right word, you never want to bring up something that, bad timing or because of sickness and injury, we couldn't, get a win. But what is this whole dual season, this whole dual part of the season? What does it mean to have, I would say, twice the amount of wins you had last year and the direction the program's going because of it?
Well, I mean, honestly, I didn't pick us to be in the top four at the beginning of the year because I thought there was going to be some stronger guys out there, or we're not going to be able to put a lineup together, much like we had last year. But you know what? We did. We came out. We wrestled really well. We got on, a roll, and it was something that it surprised me. And I told the boys that I'm happy with them, and I told them we were a year away, and they thought a little different, tried to bring it a little closer. And hopefully that next year we lose one senior, Carter Iverson leaves us, but we have some guys to fill in, and hopefully we can get back up there and maybe come away with a 1 or 2 finish in our sub-region and get to the state tournament next year. But you're right. I mean, there's no excuse for not putting things together at the end other than, we just didn't have it, and that happens sometimes.
You mentioned, of course, your lone senior and Carter Iverson. I feel like he's had some really great matches, really great bouts this year. Talk about what he means to the program.
Well, Carter's been around forever. He's been this kid who's been a 7th grader. He's been thrown in a lot of different matches. He's been this kid who we just kind of throw out to the wolves sometimes to fill a position. And this is the first year that Carter's ever gotten down to a weight that I feel like he's competitive at. Last year he was at 190 some pounds. He weighed way more than he could lift and do and work with. And this year he came back looking at 160 pounds, and he's still going down and getting in great shape. The sport of wrestling does something that a lot of other sports don't do. You see within those 3 months a kid metamorphosis, that change that makes him, stronger, more confident, and they look better, they feel better. It's not to take away all the Saturday Night Live saying, but if you feel good, you look good, you feel good, all those things. So I think Carter's really experienced that growth, and he's going to have a good struggle this weekend, and hopefully he can get to the state tournament, because that's been the goal for him for forever. And I think just making the state tournament is a heck of an accomplishment for him.
You talk about 14 kids looking to try to make it to the state tournament as part of the regional competitions, both boys and girls. Is that the most, I would say, that boys and girls combined that you've had at a regional tournament?
Well, we're going to keep some home. I mean, there's a couple guys we're going to leave home. And the reason is because they're not there yet. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense for them to go out and experience defeat against the number 1 guy or the number 3 guy. And, so we're going to kind of protect him. I've always told him I'm never going to throw you out against the dude. I'm always going to make sure that you're protected. So to keep the promise, I'm not going to bring like our 106 pounder or 107 pounder Jackson. He's 7th grader. He's learning. And then, Ethan Drake has been struggling this year. He's a 9th grader. He's just, he's got to build his muscle mass up a little bit to get more competitive. He wrestles so good in the room, but on the mat, it just kind of doesn't translate as well. So I think we're going to leave him home as well. And it's unfortunate, but that's the way we're going to have to do it. And then we'll have one open. So we'll end up bringing, 10 kids, which is hopefully we can bring, more than half of that go to the state tournament. That's a good goal. And then our girls side, we got our 4 girls that have been with us pretty much all year long. And it's so tricky with the girls because you don't know exactly. They have unlimited entries for each team, which, I mean, you could have teams like Castleton who could put 20 girls in, and they could have 5 of them all at the same weight that Crystal's at. And that really is, it's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. And so we got to go out and make sure we wrestle and take advantage of every situation that is given to us, and it's going to be the weird year because this is going to be the first year of 16 teams, 19 total teams it's 17 teams in our region and only 8 go. And we're going to see kids that we haven't even seen at this year because they just haven't matched up well in a tournament at a duel that we've been present at. So that always has a big impact upon how we wrestle and things like that.
Rob, any other highlights individually for the dual competition? Anybody really have, you thought, really good performances?
I thought Xander Dovenmuller did very well. I mean, he didn't win all his matches, but he's been wrestling better every day and every part of every year he gets better. This is a kid who was a boxer, still is a boxer. First time he went out on the mat, his hands were up and he was ready to punch a guy. I mean, it was one of those scenarios, but he's gotten so much better and more fluid. Both the Sunby boys from Central Valley are doing well. They've just got to find themselves their confidence. And once they find that, I think they have a chance as well. There's not a kid on our team that I don't think we don't have a chance with. It's just that sometimes you got to believe more in yourself than you are right now, because all the coaches are there believing that you can do it. We got our givens. There's, a couple kids that should make it without a problem. But, those kids have been wrestling at that level for a while. And it's so nice to see some of those other kids step up and take advantage of a situation that gets them to that point where they can succeed and do well as well.
Rob, 2 collections of meets left to go with the regionals this weekend, state coming up the weekend after. Anything else you want to mention?
I think, the best thing we did this year and kind of our mantra the whole year is everything's a practice. Last weekend yesterday at practice, I talked to the guys and I said, after the dual tournament, I know you felt bad, but I said, you know what? That was a practice. And even, the best athletes have a bad practice. And we just had a bad practice that day. So don't sit and dwell. Don't sit and get all upset, because you know what? Practice is just that. And we just got to be ready. So this weekend, it's the real deal. Everything has been built into this weekend. And then everything after that is just extra. So that's the way we've been doing it all year long. And I think it's really helped us out, taking a lot of pressure off of us and given us abilities to do more things than we usually have. So it's been fortunate for that.
Head coach Rob Owens joining us here on the Coaches Show. And again, we'll have audio-only coverage this Friday and Saturday of the girls and boys East Region individual tournaments, and, of course, audio-only coverage of state next weekend. Rob, thanks for the time. Best of luck this weekend.
Yes, thank you, guys.
Welcome back to the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show. I'm Joe Lancello, speaking with Michael Mathison, the coach of the Sacred Heart Eagles, who are ranked 12th in the state as of the time we record this, and a 17-2 record. And with us also is Isabel Vonish, a member of the Eagles team. Thanks very much to both of you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're excited to be here, and I will make one quick correction on Minnesota scores. They had us down for a loss, but we're 17-1 right now.
17-1, okay.
Yeah.
And your winning streak, I've got you now for 13 straight wins, or is it longer than that?
Yep, that is it. We've been on a nice little run here. We dropped a game to East Grand Forks early in the season. It was game 5. And since then, we've learned from some mistakes. And, every game brings new things that we need to work on. But the team and the girls are playing well right now. And it takes a lot of dedication to put a string of wins together where we're at right now. And so we're excited for the finish here and heading down the stretch to see where we end up heading into the section tournament.
Okay. Isabel, what makes your team so good?
I think that we're all really close and can work together. We all work as a team and not just a one person.
Are there a lot of seniors in your team?
I'm the only senior this year.
Okay. So that is very nice. Michael, tell us about what Isabel said, and do you agree with that?
Yeah, well, that is the truth. We got one senior, Isabel, and she's been a starter for us the past few years, and her career and time with us is winding down, but she's leaving the program in good hands with good leadership and excitement about the program. And outside of Isabel, I have one junior, Anna Kaiser. And then I have 2 sophomores, and I have 10 freshmen and an 8th grader. So we are very young. And outside of Isabel starting, I have 4 freshmen that start for me this year. And so, there's some excitement around that too with the youth on our team this year and years to come. But most importantly, we're focused on finishing this year strong.
Learning the habit of winning early. Is your team a tall team? Do they shoot well? What is it that makes the Eagles so good?
Well, that's a great question because we definitely do have some height. We have some height inside. I got a couple girls that are pushing that 6-foot mark. And then on the other end of that, I probably have the shortest girl in the section too. And so we're a very dynamic team when it comes to, the offense and the defensive side of the ball. But we have, some girls like Isabel that can knock it down from beyond the arc. And then we got a couple girls that we love to pound the ball inside and work it out in the post too. And so, there's strengths in the paint, there's strengths on the outside. And, I think that shows when we do match up with teams and, the competition. And, that's credit to our record right now too. I mean, being able to get some different looks throughout the offense really helps us out.
What would you say your biggest or most critical wins have been so far this season?
Well, I think the one that stands out the most is Fosston. Fosston came to Sacred Hearts a few weeks ago, and we had a very competitive game with them, which we knew we would. They're definitely on the other end of things. They got quite a few seniors and juniors and that have been playing together for a long time, and they came in without a loss on their record. And fortunately, that night for us, it went our way. And at the time, they were ranked 7th in state, and like I said, undefeated. So that was a highlight of our season so far. I think there's other games within the season too. Between Warren Alvarado Oslo and the first matchup for Stephen Argyle have been some big games just because they're turned into a little bit of a rivalry. And then you look at Northern Freeze too. We've had 2 really good games against them. We just played them last week as well. And it was down to the wire. They're a very competitive team. They've had tremendous growth this year. Coach over there is doing a great job in his first year. And, I think the next 8 games and 2 weeks that we have left too, every one of them are going to be super competitive. And, with Ada Borup and Park Christian, and we got KCC, BGM Mariette, all really, really competitive teams. And so, like I said, we're really excited for the final stretch here to see how it all shakes out.
Isabel, what do you remember from that Fosston game?
I know it was hard and they're really strong, and rebounding was definitely key for us to do that and to push the ball and use our speed to get that.
Okay. 8A seems like it's going to be a really tough section with yourselves, and you mentioned Fosston. I'm sure you'll be seeing them again at some point in the playoffs, and Ada Borup could be in there too, and Northern Freeze. It should be very interesting when the seeding comes out in about 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting to see how it all shakes out. And like you said, there's definitely that opportunity that, we potentially could see a Fosston again, and that's going to require us to play some really good ball to get to that final game. But, you look at your Northern Freeze, your Fosston, your Cass Lake Bena, Northolm's doing a great job this year too. There's a ton of teams in this section, which there usually is. And so to make it out of Section 8, it's a gauntlet come the final stretch. And you got to be playing some really good basketball. You got to have a little luck. And you got to be together. And I think what's proved so far for us is we're doing that. We're playing extremely hard. We're playing for one another. And those are the teams that can do something special when they are really focused on the team instead of themselves. And, it's a bright shining moment on our season when game in and game out, we have a different leading scorer and someone else stepping up and making shots. And it's an exciting time for this team. And we're very anxious and we're very excited for that tournament to get here.
Now, we're recording this before the Tuesday game against Thief River Falls. What does the rest of your schedule look like for this week?
Well, we got Thief River Tuesday night, and they're going to be they're aggressive and they fight out there, and so it's going to be a big matchup on Tuesday night for us. And outside of that, on Thursday night we have Stephen Argyle coming to town. We are celebrating Isabel for senior night on Thursday, and that wraps up our week. And then looking at next week, we got 4 games in 5 days next week. So we play Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then we end the week heading up to War Road for a Friday night matchup against the Warriors up there. So it's going to be a busy couple weeks, because in the following week we play Monday, Tuesday. So that's the final game of our regular season. And so, like, I'm going to stress the importance tonight at practice, that rest and taking care of yourselves is going to be super important here over the next couple weeks.
Okay, Michael Mathison and Isabel Vonish, thank you so much for coming on, and best of luck to the Eagles the rest of the season.
Well, thank you for having us. We appreciate the coverage and taking time to have Isabel and I, and we hope to visit with you again soon.
Okay, Isabel Vonish from the one senior on the Sacred Heart Girls basketball team, and Michael Mathison is the coach. We'll be back with more on the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show right after this.
College goes far beyond the buildings, classrooms, and the tests. It's about making new friends, trying something different, and discovering your purpose. It's about getting involved, supporting your community, and joining the conversation. It's about learning, growing, and finding your passion. This is not your average classroom. This is the University of Minnesota Crookston.
Lee Brothers Sales, Highway 9 in Ada, invites you to order your new Chevrolet vehicles. From the Silverado, Trailblazer, and Traverse, Lee Brothers is your authorized Chevrolet dealer, providing sales and service to the area since 1975. For ordering your vehicles, talk with Mitch Smurfer J. Trust the experts who know your vehicles best and take advantage of great Chevy certified service offers today. Lee Brothers Sales, Highway 9, Ada. Call 218-784-2000.
I'm Freya Engen. I'm confident during the match, and when it's time for college, I'm confident Bank of North Dakota will help me make good student loan decisions. Visit bnd.nd.gov/confident.
I'm Lily Bell. I'm confident on the court, and when it's time for college, I'm confident Bank of North Dakota will help me make good student loan decisions. Visit bnd.nd.gov/confident.
Treat yourself to a great career at American Crystal Sugar Company. Team up with quality people making quality products. Full-time and year-round in a stable business. With great pay and benefits including time off available from day one. American Crystal Sugar Company invests in you to promote your continued growth and career advancement. Grow your career doing your best work within the world's best beet sugar company. Apply online today at AmericanCrystalCareers.com.
Coming up, we'll get to our senior spotlight with our own Kevin Kochman at a one-on-one with Willow Thiel from Perham Girls Hoops. But here's our conversation with Tonah Safranski of Fargo Davies. As we continue on the hard court now here on our YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show, with us from the EDC Fargo Davies girls basketball team. She is Tonah Safranski, head coach for the Eagles here, and a really good start to this season here, Coach. 12-2 so far. I can't believe we're talking about February, which means the EDC tournament's down the line. But up to this point, you still have a couple non-conference games remaining, a handful of EDC games remaining. What have you liked from this team so far here on the season?
Yeah, I think our season has kind of gone how I kind of thought it would go. I knew there would be some learning, with girls playing some different positions and different roles and stuff than we've had them playing in the past. I knew that it would take a little bit of time to get all of that kind of worked out, and we're a little behind some of the other schools with our amount of games we've played, just with a makeup game with Minot. That was postponed earlier, and then just the way our schedule was. But I think the girls they work hard every day, and they're a great group of girls that we challenge them to continue to improve and to continue to work towards what we think would be the best for our team, and they do a great job with that day in and day out.
And as you take a look on the near future here just a couple days from now. You got games with Fargo South on Friday. Then you got part of that breakdown tournament with Bismarck Century. You'll play them at a neutral site at Moorhead High School at the New Digs there. Obviously, you know Trevor Olson really well, kind of taking over a program that's kind of rebuilding a little bit here. Then Century, that should be a really good East-West crossover, which from a basketball fan standpoint, we never really got to see too much, of that East-West before you got to state. So what do you hope to see from your team coming up here this weekend?
Yeah, I'm excited to play both games. I think, on Friday, I think Coach Olson, Trevor obviously was part of our staff for a number of years, and I have a lot of respect for him and the work that he puts in with his team, and they play hard, and he coaches them really well, and so that'll be a fun EDC game for us on Friday night. And then Saturday, always nice to get to play some of the teams from the WDA, and it worked out where we can see play Century on Saturday over in Moorhead. And I think the more competition you can get in games like that, for one, you see where you're at right now, and you see what areas you do well and what areas you still need to kind of look to improve on, and just get a feel for them. I think it's good for the girls to play teams from the West before you see them at state. So I think that's it's a win-win, no matter what the outcome is on Saturday, it's a positive for our program.
As we take a look at your squad here, I remember looking 5 games into the season, really good balance, 10 games in, and now we're almost going to be 15 games in, and that word balance comes across the board at any particular time. You've had 4 players that have been in double digits. You got 3 that are, above 15 here. Let's just talk about that first before we talk about the roles here, Tonah. The balance of this team, were you expecting that coming into the season out on any given night? It could be a Fallon, a Carly, an Ashton, or someone maybe even that's not those 3 in the starting 5 that could really go off in their particular spot for the team this year.
Yeah, I think that's something that is a real attribute for our team, is that, on a given night, if a team wants to try to take away, 1 or 2 players, we do have the ability for others to come in and replace that scoring or replace whatever, teams are trying to take away. And, I think it was our West Fargo game. I think all 5 starters had double figures in points. And I think that is, it's hard to defend that. And I think our girls pass the ball very well. They find their teammates. They play great team basketball. And on any given night, it could be, someone goes off for 30, or, it could be where everybody's, in double digits. So I think, just being able to have that, balance is really important. And, I think the girls, they don't care who it is, and they're happy for whoever does, go off, like Fallon going off in Alexandria on Saturday. And, they're just big shots, and they help our team, win games. And I think it's fun to see that, and it's fun for the girls to play that way too.
And talk about the importance of finding your roles, right? Because sometimes you have someone that can put the ball in the hoop a lot of times, and they're just used to getting shots off respectively. And then maybe it's not their night, in terms of their offensive rhythm, but maybe they can do something better defensively, or rebound, or set a good ball screen. So what's the roles of this year's team continue to grow, and how have you seen that help the success on the court this season, whether it's the starters or those coming off the bench?
I think we knew that we would need to have players that have multiple different roles within our team. And, I'll take like Mariah Birian, for example, one of the fastest kids in our school. And she is so quick, and she's able to really get to the basket well, but she's doing an amazing job right now of finding her teammates when she's getting in the lane, getting, under control, being balanced, and then either kicking out for a 3 or a nice little dump pass down to a cutter coming in for a weak side layup. And I think that has been her ability to do that, and her ability to defend. We typically, have had her, being a big role in guarding one of the team's top players that we're playing. And sometimes it's a post, and sometimes it's a point guard. And I mean, that's a major difference for a player to have to figure out, okay, now how am I going to change how I'm defending today? And she's done a great job with that. And, Quinn Scarry is another one that, she might be playing in a post, she might be playing point guard for us, and just kind of depends on the night and what role we need at that point in time. If certain people are in foul trouble, or we have that situation, and having that flexibility to be able to play kids in all those different spots is really big too.
On your particular point here, Tonah, outside of the balance, what's a trait or characteristic that you've liked most about this team on or off the court that maybe the fans or the media doesn't get to see, on an everyday basis? So what's something that you've enjoyed most about this team to where we are at this point in the season?
I think the teamwork part of it. I think they all get along really well. They enjoy being with each other. They enjoy coming to practice. Maybe some days a little bit better than others, but they enjoy doing that, and they're fun. And when we're serious and working hard in practice, we can also have some fun and laugh at different things as well. And we have a couple players in our sub-varsity teams that are new to basketball this year. Kate Lockway, junior in high school, fantastic athlete, great track athlete. She decides, hey, I like these girls. I'm friends with these girls. I'm going to try basketball. Well, to see the growth that she's made throughout the season and just, it's kind of eye-opening, because there's things that you take for granted at this level that, okay, kids know like certain things about rules and stuff. And so we kind of get a little chuckle once in a while, because she'll be like, well, okay, I learned something new today. And it's just about every day that, she's learning something new about the rules of the game and different things. But that's been a joy to have her, and, just the ability to really enjoy what we're doing, I think is that doesn't always happen. Some years it's not like that. And for this group to really enjoy this and have fun playing a game that they all like to play is a bonus.
Last thing for you, Coach Safranski. I've been asking a lot of coaches this, whether you've been Division B, Division A, Division AA. It's still new coming out of hearing it, because you're so used to Class A and Class B in North Dakota. But with the new 3 divisions, with the non-conference or non-region games, how has that helped you this season compared to that double round robin? You maybe play Moorhead and that's it. Where now you got to, again, play Alexandria this last week, and you got Bismarck Century, you got Money, you got some other non-regional or regional flair. How has that helped the program this season, even though you still are playing the West Fargos of the world, so to speak, 2 times in a year, but you got a little bit more flexibility on the schedule? How's that helped?
Yeah, I personally, I really enjoy that. I think it's ability to see some teams that, it doesn't count in your conference record. And, it also kind of gets you some looks as to what you might see in the postseason. And, I think the more kids can get that feel for the style of play that some of those teams play before you end up playing them in a state tournament game is valuable experience.
Tonah, thanks so much for your time, and best of luck here this weekend against the Bruins and the Patriots coming up.
Thank you so much.
Coach Safranski with us here for Fargo. Davies will continue after this on our Coaches Show.
Your liveevent.com Coaches Show opportunity for our senior spotlight. And tonight we get a chance to visit with Willow Thiel from the Perham High School, a senior at Perham. And Willow's a very decorated athlete at Perham, not just on the basketball court, but with additional sports. But in the heart of basketball season, Willow, I know that you've been able to continue a great season your senior year, coming off of a state tournament run last year with Coach Super and the Yellow Jackets. So just for you so far, how's this senior year been as far as your expectations?
I think it's went really well. We've played really well as a team, and I think that is really nice to see coming off of our state run last year, especially losing a couple seniors. I think we've came together really well, and I think we've lost some tough games, but overall we've came back from it and continued to get that winning stretch. So
we're going to talk a little bit about basketball and just kind of your sports career too, but just as senior year in academic side, what kind of classes are you taking your senior year to round out your high school career?
I'm just taking a couple from the high school, so the little ones that we have to take to graduate, and then I have some college classes online through M-State.
Okay.
So yeah.
And with those college classes, do you find them to be as challenging as maybe one would think, or are you able to maneuver with them just fine?
I think there's some tasks that are a little bit challenging, but I think it's just getting me ready for the college level. I think it's a good thing to do while you're still in high school, so you get that feel, but you're also getting ready for the next level. So.
Exactly. And I know the next level for you is going to the University of Minnesota in Crookston and going to play basketball for the Golden Eagles, which we'll touch on that too. I know just from your standpoint right now, looking at the state leaders in scoring, Minnesota girls basketball right now is loaded with some really good talent, and you're in that top 10 right now in scoring for the season's regular game average per game, averaging 28 points per game scoring, rebounding the ball, setting records that way. Recently, you were awarded in January Max Prep's WBCA National Player of the Week honors, one of 9 that get that recognition. Individual things are super cool, and I know that you're excited about that, but you mentioned the team and just how great it is to have that teamwork together, making this year really special. Along those lines, getting that recognition nationally must have felt pretty cool.
Yeah, it was super nice to get that national recognition. I definitely did not expect it, so it was a really good feeling seeing that.
With the game of basketball, where did you get your passion or kind of get your big interest from?
I think I kind of played a lot of sports growing up. So I think I was just trying out different sports. But when I was growing up, when I was really young, my neighbor was a really good basketball player for Perham, and she had a court in her front yard. So I would just go over and shoot with her, rebound, just kind of play. And as I got older, I just continued to crave the feeling of playing. So just got in the gym more and more.
And with being in Perham, you've been through the school transition, and now the way that the Hive has become a mecca for basketball. I got to imagine finding the ability or the space to have a game of basketball almost any time. You're not lacking availability of an open hoop to shoot at.
Yeah, it's super exciting to be able to have my career go through the Hive. I think it's a really big opportunity for everyone that goes through Perham and a great look for our community.
Certainly. Perham has a basketball name, with previously Coach Cressup on the boys side, now Coach Super, and of course Coach Haberman now too. With the boys and girls programs have been in such a good place for many years, and it takes a community to lead that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So talking about just your involvement in athletics outside of basketball, what else do you like to play or participate in?
I like to play volleyball. Obviously, I play that throughout the season as well. Mm-hmm. Something that's also huge in our family is going to UND hockey games.
Okay.
I've been going to those since I was really little. So weekends, I will always be going up to Grand Forks, making the trip. My sister goes there now, so it's really nice to see her and watch hockey. And just being outdoors, I love the warmth. Not a super big fan of the winter, but just being outdoors and getting that fresh air is really nice.
The process to the next level, obviously you have your goals set on what you'd like to see you and your teammates contribute to this season and make this your senior year you go out with. But after high school, you're excited about that next level, and the University of Minnesota Crookston is where you selected. What was the process like in deciding where you'd like to go play college ball?
I think the big decision was just finding someone I can relate to, just like Super. Me and him have a really good relationship, and I think that's why I enjoy basketball so much. So just finding someone that I know will support me and continue to build that relationship. And so I think just matching my energy. As I went on tours, I liked to see how the coaches interacted with me, how they treated me, how they treated their teammates, how they talked about their team, just seeing the positivity and see how they react to the negativity or how they bring it up or stuff like that. So I really enjoyed the coaching staff at UMC, and it just felt very comforting. And so, yeah,
That's great. Did you have some other places that you were considering?
Yeah, I toured Duluth, Crookston, Gustavus, and then Bemidji.
Okay, fantastic. Good options, and making a choice to play ball. What are you thinking about achieving as far as a degree?
I have that is undecided yet. I have no idea where I want to go, but just getting my generals done and moving forward with my education. So
it's kind of an interesting world for college athletes these days, and for college in general. You can bounce around. You mentioned the University of North Dakota. You'll be pretty close. I know that Friday nights and Saturday nights will be a little busy moving forward, but it's kind of nice that maybe your folks can you bounce around and be able to take in, still be able to maybe catch some of that fun that you developed over your years.
Yeah.
So how about mom, dad, family? Who's all part of your family, Willow?
My mom and my dad met at UND, and then I have a younger brother who's a freshman at Perham, and then my sister is a freshman at UND.
All right, very good. And looking ahead to the excitement. I know obviously you're looked to as a role model right now, not just at Perham High School. It's recognized you're kind of a big deal in the Heart of the Lakes Conference, Willow, when people talk about seeing Perham basketball come through. And I know Coach Super has led the program in a great way. But for you personally, if you have an underclassman ask, how do I get the most out of my time in school? What would your advice be to them?
I think just setting positive goals, just continuing to work hard and do your best. Don't tear yourself down too much. I think you just have to give yourself some grace because high school is a hard period of time. And I think just having that positive outlook and that great mindset, I think that really helps to get through a lot.
What's been one of your biggest achievements in sports to this stage, as we chat here first part of February?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest ones was just making it to state. We haven't done that in a long time. And so I think just our team coming together last year and really making it a goal and accomplishing that goal, it felt amazing. And just we had so much excitement, so many emotions. It was great.
Being in the gym this season in the Heart of Lakes Conference and of course in section, and you guys have a very challenging schedule, get out to some other games too. Your non-conferences is a difficult schedule, kind of a target on your back throughout the year, being the reigning champs from 8AA. So what's that been like this year? Have you guys felt pressure or are you just having fun?
I think we've had a little bit of pressure just kind of in those close games, but I think overall it's just kind of fun to know that we made it to state last year and that's another one of our goals this year. So I think it's just been continuing that fun and almost making it fun, trying not to have the pressure because that's when we play the best.
Willow Thiel, a senior from the Perham High School, is our senior spotlight this week on the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show. Willow, thanks for your time. I appreciate it very much. And best of luck as your senior year rolls out. And we'll be looking forward to following you at the University of Minnesota Crookston.
Yes, thank you.
Fosston Greyhound girls basketball coach Kelly Viken joining us. And Kelly, just a handful of games left to go, but your team's been playing some good basketball, coming up with some big wins. And like we said the other night, some really hard-fought contests.
Yeah, we had a tough stretch there with a bunch of road games. Tough game over at Climax Fisher and Climax. And then we followed that up with the very next day on a Saturday at the Crookston College there against BGMR. Come back, had a big win against North Home Kelly, a very, very salty team, very good team. And followed that up with a nice win down at Ada, which is a tough place to play, and they got a lot of size to deal with. But we did enough late to come out of there with a win.
Yeah, you mentioned the Cougars do have a lot of size, and how did your team deal with it that night?
The best we could. We had some 5'8", 5'9" girls guarding a 6'3" post at times. We got ourselves into some foul trouble, and they did as well, but they're a little deeper on the bench, and we were able to hang on, even though we had two girls foul out. I think Tessa Manicky fouled out with about 5 minutes to go in the game, and Lexi fouled out with 3 minutes to go in the game, but our subs come in and did a great job that night, and we, like I said, we did enough down the stretch. Vanessa Johnson had a huge steal late in that game. I think it was like a 1-point game at that time, and Ada was inbounding the ball, and she stole it and went in for a layup, and that was kind of the momentum swing that we needed late in the game.
Yeah, and it seems like when you do get into foul trouble, I want to give your bench a little plug here because they've been doing a great job. You've been able, for the most part, to overcome that because that's one thing. Even at the beginning of the season, we said we can't get into foul trouble.
Yeah, we keep preaching that, and for some reason, we continue to get ourselves into foul trouble sometimes. But hopefully, we can eliminate that. We have some games and other games we've gotten ourselves into foul trouble. But like you said, with our bench, with Tegan DePong and Miley Hovey coming in, they've done a great job this year for us and giving us good minutes and playing well.
That's not just scoring too, but the job they do defensively, and just even when your girls need a little rest, a little breather on the bench, it's very important.
Right. We don't expect them to go out there and score 20 points. They just have to maintain, do their job defensively, rebound. Tegan DeBong does a great job rebounding. Miley will get in there and rebound, and they get us 2, 4, 6 points a game. That's just a bonus. You know, Tegan DePong against North Home Kelly there was 7 for 7 from the free throw line, which was huge on a 2-point game. So that was a big part of the reason we got the win that night, along with everybody else on the floor.
You mentioned your win at Climax Fisher a couple of weeks ago, and as the schedule has it, you've got them already coming up tomorrow night on your home floor. This is a team, they look pretty impressive, I understand, in their win over Fertile Beltrami last night, and this is an up-and-coming team.
We've talked about that, Tom. Very up-and-coming team. They got a young nucleus there. The Hoffman girl obviously is very tough, and then she's got some guards around her that are shooting the ball very well. I watched some of that game last night against Fertile, and they played very well. And I think you've seen as the season's gone on, they're playing better and better. They got a new coach in there at the start of the season or this year, and I think they're learning his system, learning how to play his system or under his system, and all you've seen them do is get better and better. And we'll certainly have our hands full come tomorrow night.
Remember, you played BGMR the very next day at UMC, just talking to some of the girls about that game the night before against Climax Fisher. A little physical, and they said it was a battle.
It was a very physical game. It was a very hard-fought game. It was back and forth, and it was tight all the way through the end. And again, we did enough to come out of there with the win. But I know that they're going to come to our house and really push us hard, and we're going to have to do all the little things right, win the rebounding battle, win the turnover battle, and then hopefully shots are going down.
We are now less than 3 weeks away from the tournament, so they're quickly approaching. A lot of big games, a lot of tough opponents still on your schedule.
Yeah, we got Fisher Climax on our schedule yet. We got Warren on our schedule yet. Stephen Argyle and Cass Lake is going to be a huge game when it comes to seeding for the section on our side. And then you can't look past anybody because Red Lake Falls now is really improved as the season's gone on. They took BGMR, what was it, like a 1 or 2 point win for BGMR the other night. So we got a lot of tough games left, and then we still have the conference championship game.
Hey, congratulations to Brinley Mallon. She scored her 1,000th career point against Winnie Mac the other night. It was a well-kept secret.
Well, I knew going into the Ada game she was 48 points away. We've been keeping an eye on it. And then she had a big night against Ada, which was a big reason we got the win as well. She had 28, so that took her down to 20. She's been averaging about 20 a game, 19 and a half a game, so you didn't know if she would get it or not, but I did talk to her mom and dad, and they agreed, it was their idea really to just kind of keep it quiet, because we've both seen in the past what happens when a player's 5-10 points away, and for whatever reason they just seem to, basket doesn't go through the hoop, so we just kept it quiet. There's only a handful of people that knew, and again, we didn't know if she would get it against Winnie Mac or not, and she had 10 in the first half, and then we got later in the game, and we just decided let's try to get the 20 points so we don't have to worry about it when we're playing Fisher Climax.
And she told me, anyways, that you told her that she was like 5 away?
Yep. I took a time out there, and I said, Brindley, you got to look to score, look to shoot. And why? I want to get my teammates involved. And I said, just look to shoot and score. So then we went out, and of course, ran a pick and roll, which I was hoping she would take it all the way to the rim, and instead she had a nice little bounce pass, and we scored. So I took another timeout, and then that's when I said, Brindley, you got to look to score. You're 5 points away from 1,000. So then she understood what was going on. And, it was also a night where they had the funeral on Saturday for their grandpa, and they still had family members in town that were at the game, so we were trying to get it for that as well when she had extra family members around.
Parents' night too, so it was a special occasion. Congratulations to Brindley. And before I let you go, a plug for your annual C Squad tournament last Saturday. You had some great crowds and some really fun games.
We had some good competitive games. RLCC and Bagley played in the championship game. Very fun game to watch. I'm sure it was a fun game to announce. And again, pulling off a tournament like that doesn't happen without all the help of the volunteers coming in and doing concessions. With Stacy Manicky has done a great job with that. And then everybody else that comes in and helps, whether it's taking tickets or helping clean up or set up or tear down. It takes everybody working together to pull that off, but it's a good fundraiser for the program to help pay for some summer basketball camps and stuff. And the main thing, it's a good opportunity for younger kids to get some more court time.
And that's what it's all about. And hats off to the officials too. They put in a lot of miles.
They put in a lot of miles. That was their choice. That's how they wanted to do it. But it works well to get in some real officials and keep things clean. I know I get a lot of compliments from the parents. Glad that we don't have high schoolers reffing, that we have actual officials.
Okay, sounds good, Kelly. Thanks for your time. Kelly Viken, head coach of the Fosston Greyhound girls basketball team, will have their game tomorrow night against the Climax Fisher Knights on 96.7 FM. Thanks again, Kelly.
Thanks, Tom.
That does it for the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show. Is presented to you by the Hillsboro Economic Development Corporation. Thanks so much for joining us, and tune in next Wednesday night at 7 o'clock for another edition here on YourLiveEvent.com.